Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another edition of 3 Live Canes. This time, two of us. And Steve will be there at some point. But better than one live cane. Last week, we got 2, and then eventually 3. And then who knows? Maybe we'll just bring some other people on. Random people from the chat. Why not? Talk about Miami Hurricanes football for yet another week. This week, not as much happened as last week when we had a couple commitments. But, the momentum is consistently still in Miami's favor with some of the big-name guys. After the visits a couple weeks ago, we've seen some different things go on with, some guys taking visits to other schools and not taking visits. And, that some of that info got out there. It was a little bit confusing for a time, but this is that busy season for the people that work behind the scenes. So there's always going to be a lot of information that come out either way. But before we start talking about all that, Bill, after your nice week off last week, how you doing tonight?
Big chillin'. I didn't get a chance to listen to the 50-minute solo extravaganza, although I'm sure it was hilariously boring. Judging by there's no one in the chat right now, you scared them all away. So
I think they popped in, they saw it's not the one man show again. They got to bump out of here. but it was fun experience for me and hopefully for you guys that watched the show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This week, Bill and I will talk about some of those topics we discussed last week, the 2 big commitments that we got. We'll also bring our guy Steve-O on in a second. Usually see what it's like when I just randomly drop him in. So I will get Steve-O on right now. There's Steve-O. How we doing, Steve-O?
You there, Steve-O?
I cannot hear you. Yeah. Am I tripping?
It's all right. Steve-O, I'm going to play the intro. Then you work it out, all right? I believe you'll be on when you get back. Oh, you can't hear me. Doesn't matter. Steve-O, I'm going to play the intro.
Pretty sure he just said something about fishing. So
this is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin sprayed.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.
Hard dog. Don't ask me for more. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one.
Who else?
Who else but Sean? Who else but us? Here on a Wednesday night to talk about Miami Hurricanes football. Steve-O was with us. He'll be back very shortly. Don't worry about that. This week's show might be a tighter one. And a programming note, next week, no show, so don't tune in. I'll be away on a Native American reservation where there's very little Wi-Fi. And without me, Bill would struggle mightily to lead the show. So obviously we've got to go out of there. But William Nutt is here. Good old Bill Nutt in the chat. What's up, Bill? How you doing? Here to talk about some Miami football. And just on a quick point here, I was watching a video that was produced a while ago about Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu. 2 guys that, in terms of the early to late, whatever, the 2000s, that decade there, were at the very top of their game as players. And I saw a lot of other people throwing things out there like, well, Polamalu was better. Polamalu was this. Even throwing some other guys like Earl Thomas out there as if though they were equated to Ed Reed. I think it's important to make sure that we establish. Oh, Steve-O.
What's good? I can
we
hear
got
you.
You, Steve-O. We got you, Steve-O. Don't worry.
Almost went throwback with the headphones.
I think you should wear the headphones. Steve, let me see with them on.
Yeah, I had to pull them out. I haven't used them in a minute.
very offensive coordinator like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got.
It's like. To me, it looks like the other guy in the booth, like next to the OC, who's like hitting him on the arm, like, hey.
Yeah. The analyst letting them know, hey, look, that coverage. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, got a bunch of stuff. So my brother's going to Alcorn State, so a bunch of the stuff that we've been helping with the terminology and depth and stuff like that. I got my playbook ready. I'm ready to go.
He's transferring over there.
Oh no, we didn't honor our commitment to Army, we are going to go crazy at Alcorn State and hit the transfer portal. I shouldn't be saying that, but that's just my opinion. But
I know. I got you. I don't know how big of an Alcorn State fandom we have, a crossover between Miami and Alcorn. I'm not sure it's a big one. Where is Alcorn State?
Then Mississippi, Lorman, Mississippi.
Did Steve McNair go to Alcorn State?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. A little bit of history there. Good job, Bill. But I was just talking about history for a second here before we get into some other stuff, because you guys didn't get a chance to talk about the commits from last week. But I was watching it. I was watching this video, Steve, I was telling Bill about Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu. And a lot of people were equating the two and how, like, very similar, like about the same. Some guy said this guy, some guy said this guy as better. So I was getting ready to fight the good fight on the internet, which I love to do, and yell at people for being stupid. But about how Ed Reed is, as far as anyone with logical sense should be concerned, the greatest safety in the history of the NFL. Right? Like, you'll have some older guys that'll throw names in out there from older generations.
Like
Ronnie Lott and those guys. Like, some people would say like a Rod Woodson and all, but then maybe the old timey guys back before, like when the longest pass they threw was like 13 yards. But I mean, Ed Reed, certainly of the generation that late 90s through today, Ed Reed is the class of it.
Yeah, but I don't get mad at people for saying Troy Polamalu. He was honestly an amazing player. If I wasn't a Hurricanes fan and just being indebted in Ed Reed, like, you could entertain that conversation. But I mean, I personally think that Ed Reed's just the best safety of all time. But I wouldn't be mad at somebody if they were maybe closely engaged with whatever he was at college. I forgot where he played at college. Or a Pittsburgh fan. Yeah, if like you're from California, I'm pretty sure in your mind, he's the best safety of all time. But I mean, yeah, I think the numbers will back Ed Reed and just the overall change of the game. But I wouldn't fault somebody for feeling that way. I tell him I'd have a very long conversation with them about, Bill, and I'd show him a couple clips from like Tom Brady or Bill Belichick or Peyton Manning talking about him. But then, they'll probably have some stuff in there, but it wouldn't last long or as long.
No further than, Bill Belichick and how he just gushes over what Ed Reed does and, things he did on the field and how smart he was. I don't even think it's a debate. Which is crazy because Polamalu is, a Hall of Famer, but Ed Reed is clearly the number one safety in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, and like you talk about Belichick, I mean, you may question his decision making when it comes to women, but you're not going to question his decision making when it comes to defensive playmakers. That's for sure. But I mean, the pedestal he puts guys like Lawrence Taylor, like the pedestal of defensive players for him. Like Lawrence Taylor is up there as like a different thing, and then Ed Reed is like somewhere just right below that with how he talks about those guys. So, it's a very best of the best, very discerning when it comes to those things. But Steve, I saw you crack up a little bit there by reference to Bill Belichick and his work with the ladies.
I mean, hey, if you that age, I don't know. I think he's doing all right for himself. Let's just call it what it is. But hey, whatever makes him happy. But yeah, I really don't care, to be honest with you. I'm just as curious as anybody is North Carolina going to actually be good at football. Because it's easy to say, the best coach ever. I was for a long time as a Dolphins fan, a hater of that coach, saying that it was all Tom Brady. And then when Tom Brady left and that thing just crumbled apart, I feel like I was right. But, they were right 6 times with Tom, so I guess, it's okay for them. But I'm just as curious as anybody is like, is this going to work? Obviously these kids are getting paid like professionals, but they're not professionals. I mean, let's be real. So I'm just curious as ever to see if it'll work, girlfriend or not.
Steve, would you, if you were given a head coaching job at a major university, would you hire your girlfriend to be like an immediate, like, I work with you every day person? Like she's covering the media, social media for North Carolina.
Nah, I would probably not. But there's a role. Hey, if you want to be involved, there's a role for you. We'll figure it out. You want to be involved, we'll find a role, but it got to fit. It got to fit. If the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
She looks like she could be one of those like recruiting hostesses, like back in the day.
Yeah, that's actually her job. She's a
I
recruiter.
don't know if she'd be going the
At
extra mile
hospital.
like she's already doing with Bill, but
Oh, how about you,
but, yeah.
Bill? Same question. Would you hire your wife to be?
Absolutely not. Zero chance. I do think that UNC is going to be like a unmitigated disaster, though. Like, I think they're going to be like a laughing stock of college football.
It's very possible. It's very
And
possible.
I don't even think that's like a hot take, but I'm going to be wagering my hard-earned money probably against UNC a lot.
We'll see how it all shakes out for them. You guys last week on the show, you guys missed the opportunity to talk about some of these new commits that Miami pulled together. I know there's some questions are popping up there already. So let's hit the questions first, and we'll talk about some of the guys that joined up last week. But here, New King God coming in first with what's going on with the wide receiver recruiting. His first question there. Obviously, some big names out there, and a big name that we talked about in the past, making some noise out there on his different visits. But Steve, I'll go to you first because it's right in your wheelhouse. Like, how are you feeling about the receiver recruiting at the moment for Miami?
I mean, let's be real. He's asking about Tristan Keys. I continue to think that the Canes put themselves in positions for these type of recruitments. I think we do really well when we chip away at a recruit early on and then let the season play out. If we do that, like what we did last year on the product, on-field product, while we're chipping away already before games are played, I think we might land some of these big fish, big names. When is he going to, flip? Is he going to flip? All those questions are going to be getting asked literally until December, no matter what commitment he makes next, or if he does change his commitment. They're going to be asking the same questions till December. So as a recruit, it makes no sense to decommit or flip this early. So let's just keep chipping away at it, see how it goes. But I do think there's, some smoke out there, not some, but, Miami is very interested in a 2027 receiver that might be reclassifying to 26, who would have an excellent spot, for sure spot on the team in that role. So I think that's something else to monitor. More national guys are available as well. Miami's when you put on the seasons that we put on back to back, even with TVD, we still put up numbers at receiver. Obviously, it could have been better. There was a 4-game skid in there where really nobody got the ball consistently, at least. But the product has been out there for 2 years in a row now. You could be successful at receiver here. We brought in Carson Beck, a lot of hype around Luke Nickel. So I think it's really actually trending up, to be honest. And I actually love that. As long as we don't get a dud at receiver, Coach KB is gonna get them up to shape. So I don't think we've recruited any duds. Obviously, we've seen some duds at the position in the last couple of years, but I don't see those type of guys. Every type of guy, obviously, when you look at them, they have potential. But when you take some of these guys with potential with the stuff on the roster, we took they tell you JoJo for potential because he has potential to be the number one guy. A lot of guys on the roster had that potential to soar up. So I think we're doing a really good job with recruiting, and the targets that we are on reflect that. But I'm very interested to see what happens with that 27 receiver.
Bill, thoughts so far? Responses?
Yeah, we got some breaking news. A receiver decommitted from Tennessee that Miami is after, so maybe some potentially good news there. I know D-Money was talking about him on his latest version of the bank, so maybe that's something to keep an eye on. But not worried, right? I mean, we're aggressively going after, Keys. Is it hard to land a 5-star wide receiver from Mississippi? Yeah, it is. But we just need to essentially kind of set the tone and just get one of these guys and develop them, and you can be that wide receiver pipeline. But we've had very good production, from a wide receiver room that didn't get anybody drafted last year. So, our system very much favors it, but, I would love to see kind of a physical freak, like a Tristan Keys or like a highly rated guy in the system to see what they could do. But definitely good news that Evans, just decommitted from Tennessee. That might be going Miami's way.
Yeah, that was D Money was on it. There was a couple articles a couple days ago too about Miami pushing for him. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, when D Money's talk, he knowing what's going on. I heard a little bit about, it could be a decommitment coming soon. I didn't hear anything about a flip, so I don't know if he's going to be committing anytime soon. But we have definitely invested resources into his recruitment, so it's nice to see a change up in his commitment status. It kind of makes, as a fan, we put 2 and 2 together. But we just have to, wait and see how it goes. But I definitely, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we've been aggressively going at the receiver position. I think this is a 3 to 4 studs. You took 3 last year. Malley's a stud. Josh Moore is a stud. A lot of people are surprised about Upshaw. I'm not. So I think we'll probably go 3 to 4 studs for 2026. And that's great, because obviously you got some crown jewels, CJ and those. Evans, we're talking about Keys. You land 2 or 3 out of those 3. I mean, sheesh.
Yeah, keep stacking the chips, especially at the receiver position where, some guys hit right away. Some guys take a couple years. And like there was a question New King also put out there, like, will we see Chance Robinson this year?
I think so.
Where do you think he fits in, Steve-O?
I seen him the other day, but Chance looked good. He's a physical specimen. There's not another receiver on our roster that looked like him. He's going to be the Debo of the group, and he's hard to tackle. He is hard to tackle. Is he going to be the fastest guy? No, but neither was Jacoby George or X. And you see how explosive and crazy they can be with the ball in his hands. He got that Broward dog in him. He's going to make some plays with it. I think he's going to crack his way in. He had some hamstring things that was throwing him up. I've been seeing him at the park with Todd and you, seeing him at the park getting right with Receiver Factory. I've seen him a couple of times, and each time I've seen him, I'm like, okay, that's looking like the Chance I've known. He has some things that I'm not going to say. With his legs, and so he's 100%. I think he was itching to get back out there in spring. He was already doing routes on air, things of that nature. I think fall camp, it's crucial for him if he's going to crack this too deep. I think fall camp is where it is, because you got 2 transfers that you just brought in that are going to be completely mainly outside. Right. You got Marion. I can't believe I forget his name.
Keelan Marion.
Yeah, okay, I did have it. So he'll be factoring in. He's probably going to get a limited amount of snaps, not limited, but a guaranteed amount of snaps regardless, because he's going to be a trick play, gadget, things of that nature. So he's probably going to have his own sets, but there's really wide open to see who's going to back CJ Daniels up or who's going to challenge JoJo. I think JoJo starts low key, but I think CJ Daniels could set the way where Chance could come in behind him and get a couple good snaps in, to be honest with you, if he's getting 20 snaps a game. And then people got to understand, Coach Mario Cristobal is going to love the way he blocks, bro. He's a demolisher. He's going to be the enforcer of the receiver room. He might get snaps just off of that. I'm telling you right now. I seen him obviously play with my bro at St. Thomas. He is an aggressive blocker, bro. Like, and I know it's not a trait that you, oh my God, this is the reason why he's going to get on the field. But for Coach Mario Cristobal, that might be not a turn on, but definitely something that he values. To be
no, we're calling it a turn on, Steve-O.
Yeah, I mean they made it very, very clear. Coach KB made it very, very clear to his receivers beforehand that Coach Mario told them about the blocking, and anybody who don't block will not play. So that's from the top. So that could definitely help him out.
And with the guys that we have, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, kind of like to Steve's point. I mean, CJ Daniels is really the only one that you kind of know what you're getting. JoJo got little time last year, but Marion's been mainly kick return, a little work at wide receiver, at BYU. But I mean, it's the snaps are going to be there. It's just a matter of who's going to go out there and take them. And it's going to start in about 6 weeks. They're working over the summer, then fall camp starts, and who's going to get the chemistry down with Carson Beck, and who's going to do all those little things, blocking and just being the leader in the room. We're all banking on JoJo, but maybe a guy like Marion surprises, or maybe a guy like Chance surprises. So I think that'll probably be one of the biggest storylines of fall camp is what's going on at receiver.
Yeah. Healthy D too. I mean, what's going on at receiver now that we have oh, okay, OJ's now he's competing. Oh, this transfer's now competing. Oh, now he's competing. Now O'Connor, who was out a little bit in spring, is full go. How are the receivers gonna go now? Versus that step up in competition. Where there was a lot of DBs out. Damari Brown was out. There was a lot of DBs out. So I would love to see what's going on with the, obviously you could say fresh blood, or new blood at receiver. But yeah, would love to see how that competition goes.
And the question that jumped up, there's a couple in here. I'm going to go back to something that New King said earlier. He said, how do you all feel about James Johnson, the defensive tackle, taking an official visit over to Texas, kid from the north? Bill, go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a couple weeks ago that Texas, I don't know if it was 247 or one of the sites, they were basically, complaining that Miami already had a deal done with him from an NIL perspective. But again, it's a new age of recruiting. They're going to take their visits. It's very rare you're going to get a visit, get them to commit, shut down that same weekend. So I still feel good. Maybe he's going to give Texas kind of one last chance to make a move, but this is a trench player, and I think we're learning that Miami is allocating the appropriate resources to land, those elite trench guys year in and year out, because that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. But no, you can't lose a big time defensive tackle from Miami Northwestern to Texas. Like, that can't happen.
Steve, thoughts on Johnson?
Yeah, do you feel good about any recruit going on to an official visit to Texas? Probably not now with this type of, NIL era. Texas got, they got the bag, whatever, but it's just, I feel different with this staff. I know, hey, if we don't get a James Johnson, it's because somebody else is coming. We have this going. So I'm not really worried about it, because I know it's a real full-on attack at defensive tackle. You've seen him pulling the Justin Scott. We've seen him pulling the Lightfoot. The pretty much every time we've seen a big-time defensive lineman put on that wall, there's like another few names around it. So even if we don't land that one, we've landed several around. We didn't land, I forget what his name. I can't even remember his name because we got Hayden Lowe. I didn't care anymore. So I just know that if we miss one of these defensive linemen, there's another one slightly or on the same caliber coming in, and if not both. So I'm really not worried about defensive tackle recruiting, and I'm not really crazy about the Texas visit. If they had an NIL deal in place, what else are they doing on this visit? So we'll see. If he already hasn't committed, hey, that's reliable as anything, a report, but I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be great.
And kind of funny, like to balance off that idea, Bill had said before, like, what's the deal? You commit 1 week, and then the next week you might be going somewhere else and making a different decision. That's just the nature of the beast, right? And then New King also
in the pool.
Yeah. New King God said, do we flip the Rutgers linebacker Edwards? As a kid from Orlando, Justin Edwards. Just committed to Rutgers like a week and a half ago or something, and already like taking his visit to Miami. So
man, if I'm in that kid's camp and Rutgers was his best offer, I haven't gone through it yet. If that was like a committable offer, lock it in, Big Ten, I would tell him, hell yeah, do it. It's with the best interest of the kid, and if something comes along like Miami or a school that you want to go, we'll entertain it. If it happens to be a week later, we entertaining it. Why not? You're a Florida boy. You interested? Obviously, this is something you didn't see happen a week ago, and now that it is, you just roll with it and see how that relationship builds out. Do we flip? I hate to say we flip and stuff. He hasn't even been to campus yet, so let's just let that play out. But it definitely is intriguing. I know like Rutgers beat us recently, and it ain't really it was an ugly game and all that stuff. But let's be real when it comes to appeal. And the program trajectories, I think Rutgers is on the way up because Shiano is a good coach, and they're definitely going up. They're definitely but always going to be middle tier at the best in the Big Ten. And the ACC, they're begging for us to be what we're going to be. So I just think it fits. And I've checked his tape. I didn't get to check bunch of things, and we need size and speed at linebacker. So what are we talking about?
right? And like the traditional Shiano style, like Corey Heatherman, like it's very likely that there's a lot of overlap with the guys that they're looking for, like that. Like that's I've seen it enough. That 6'1", 6'2", 205 high school linebacker, whatever they call it, that eventually becomes that like 225, 230 guy that Shiano loves to have on his defenses over the years. It's a lot of that's because of his ability to go down and get those South Florida guys during his first tenure at Rutgers. You know, guys with speed that he would just throw out there all over the defense. So there should be some overlap there. So not surprising that Heatherman would say, hey, if Shiano likes him, I like him too, and bring him up. So, but Bill, you were going to say something.
And Shiano, during that first run, maybe didn't always have NFL linebackers, but those linebackers were always productive. So that's a good sign. You know, Heatherman comes from the Shiano tree, so it's not surprising that we're interested. But yeah, we need a very serious talent infusion right at linebacker, and we started to see that the last cycle or two, where we're starting to get some of those blue chip guys. You know, Jordan Campbell just shut down his recruitment, although again it's June, that doesn't mean much. So I think we're on the track. D-Nick brought in a ton of talent, but you got to hit the evals at linebacker. It's one of those positions where you could be 6'3", 240 running 4.4, but it may not translate because it's a very instinctual position as well. But do we flip them? I think if we really want them, that recruitment is going to be a lot different than like a blue chip recruitment, like a Calvin Russell or a James Johnson, where they know if they can hold out, then they're just going to keep taking visits. Those offers probably keep getting a little bit bigger and bigger. But for some of these under the radar guys, like Steve was saying, hey, Rutgers your best choice. Jump in the boat now. See what happens as the senior season plays out.
Yeah, that's just honest advice for kids across the nation. Lock in your spot, my boy.
And honestly, like speaking of like the Rutgers Miami linebacker thing, like there's a little bit of me that as this season gets going, like Mohamed Toure, there's a reasonable opportunity for him to be like our best linebacker this year. Like it's possible. It's very possible if he's healthy and he's back to what he was before he got hurt. He's 100%. Like the potential of other guys is super high, but I've seen Mohamed Toure be a really good player, and that's kind of what we're looking for. A guy that can go out there and be a good player and be solid and consistent. So not a non-zero potential for that to happen, and fits a very similar mold. Go, Steve.
Yeah, obviously not zero potential, and also he gets a bonus because he's going to be rushing the passer a bunch too. So getting sacks is a big way to infect the game. But yep. I definitely think just with solid defensive play and gap integrity around Wesley, you'll probably see a better product. I didn't think he was bad last year. I think he'll probably surprise you. I have him picked as my number one linebacker for this year. I think as long as because a lot of those things where you say, oh, West ain't closed this or West ain't closed that, you got defensive line stunting and not getting there, and he's overreaching for everything. And then when you do that, you're leaving cutback lane. So if you would have got dead-legged and he's falling, you would have been like, oh, man, he's trash, he's this. But our linebackers were put in a lot of bad positions, and you started seeing, Kiko missed a lot of tackles, and you're just like, damn, but he was out of position, and a lot of them running there, getting it cut back in because you're just chasing so far outside. They were yo-yoing us all year. So I think with a little bit more stabilization and integrity of gaps, you'll see the linebacker play, at least not being hung out to dry the whole entire game.
Fair. Very fair. Speed Bill, I saw you like typing away vigorously on your computer there. Were you looking something up?
No, I sent it in a work email.
A lot of good questions. Calvin Russell or Lopez?
Yep, there we go. New King. New King, really the star of the show here today. Good job, New King. He's saying Calvin Russell or Lopez and Wingo. Which would you choose?
I gotta go CJ. That's there's a 7-on-7 team he played with. That's my boy. He for the peoples. CJ is literally hilarious. But he's super smart, bro. There's kids of his status that I've not seen be as humble and as just a good kid, literally a good kid, bro. And that's a phrase everybody's gonna use. A lot but man, CJ is. And I just really, really hope we do. I think it's a great opportunity for him to play basketball and football here at University of Miami. Obviously, y'all know he's a state championship hooper, state championship football player. I mean, he get it done. Same thing with Lopez. He's a state hooper and a state, football player. And Wingo, obviously a good talent. But at all means, like, you just can't let the 5-star super freak receiver just out of Miami Northwestern just leave. You let Teddy go. And we know how we felt that. So you just gonna let Teddy send out a 5-star somewhere else. Like, we gotta let Teddy know, hey, this is the options when you were in high school. It was better for you to leave home. It's not like that no more, Teddy. Keep him here.
And like someone who's like the legacy we've had a lot of like legacy sons of like father football players and all that. Like, we've had that, and honestly, it hasn't worked out great for us because then like all of a sudden things don't exactly go according to plan. But like, to have a mom who's a legacy, like is a legend of the basketball program, like that, I feel like has weight. Like the mom legacy angle, I feel like that's something.
I feel like it means natty. I feel like it means natty.
I'm not getting the positive vibes, from that recruitment for him. But I think he would be the easy choice. But he's the type of guy that would go to an Oregon or somewhere else, and it's just another name on the list of big time wide receivers that have escaped South Florida and went on to have great college and professional careers. So it's a chance to change the narrative.
Oh man,
I think there's a chance there. Everybody's after him, obviously. It's what Johnny Lewins just said. It's between us and LSU. We'll see how that goes. We'll just keep on keeping on, man. I think no matter what he commits to, obviously we're going to be recruiting him out to December 4th. But even after December 4th, we might still let me not say that. But recruiting, you never know with the way these portal situations get. Within a year you could be recruiting them again. But Teddy was. So we got to get in there to that program, let them know, hey, when y'all was leaving town, we get it. Obviously, you made the right decision for yourself. You was very successful in college throughout the league, but now y'all can make that decision, easier for these kids coming in. But I definitely think there's going to be a twist and turn in his recruitment. I'm not going to tip his hand or anything, but I don't think Miami is out of it for sure. I mean, out of it, you could always say you're in it, but I think Miami's in contention. Is probably a better way to say it.
All right, let's see. Let's try to figure this out. He would be the best receiver from South Florida since who?
I mean, where is he ranked at right now? His
composite is a 97.35. So he's like
the top 50 player.
Yeah. He's a top 50 player, high 4-star for composite.
Well, I mean, that's probably Mark Pope.
I think Pope was higher.
I'm saying that's probably the range.
I think Pope was probably right around there.
Yeah, it got to be. He was a borderline 5-star. His recruitment.
It sucks seeing Mark Pope UMass, by the way. This is like.
It's all right. He did his thing his last year.
All right, so his composite he was a 96 and the 67th player overall.
Okay, so who would be higher than who was the last? Like Ryan Moore.
Ryan Moore. Wait, Orlando.
Yeah, he was at Dr. Phillips. He was a 5-star. Went crazy as a freshman and got in trouble with the 85. Yeah, Ryan Moore. He was that guy.
He was good. He popped up in doing a. What game was it? The for VTech game in 05, I was pulling video.
Yeah, the deep ball. Yeah, deep threat. If you were recruiting him right now in NCAA, it'd say skill set, deep threat. That boy taking the top off for sure. Aldarius Johnson. Ooh, that's true.
He's
Stacy Coley was the 56th national player.
Yeah, it should have been top 50 easy. I don't know what them boys is on. I don't know what them boys is on.
So I think, we've had guys
Tennessee.
around there, but I think Russell kind of has a little bit more weight
from recruiting. Yeah, from the composite or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they'll have it, but
that's going to fluctuate too a little bit.
Hester, the 27th best player in the country when he came out. Does Hester count?
I mean, yeah,
misused at Miami.
Thanks, Bill. Really good call on that one. Yeah, Darius 98.27. Yeah, those guys are in that conversation too. Amon.
What about what was Amon at? Because I know he was top
113.
Damn,
he was high. I think he was higher, and then once they realized he wasn't going to Bama, he got dropped.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the talk around.
He dropped the deuce in Coach Saban's crib and cleared it. That's crazy. There was a time where Amon was, oh my god, yeah, he was like top 60.
Do they still have the rankings thing?
If you go in the rankings history, there had to be a drop because him not being top 100, I'm pretty sure when we were following that recruitment, he was top 100 at least.
Where do I find it?
Sam Bruce, a good call. Another guy that I think at some point was like 5-star. Right?
No, I don't think he was 5-star, but he was definitely top 4-star.
Because it was, what was that class? It was him,
Deontay Mullins,
Amon, one more dude.
Yeah, it was Amon.
Oh, was Amon in that group? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Amon. So the best receiver in West Palm Beach, the best receiver in Broward, Sam Bruce, and then the best receiver in Dade, Deontay Mullins, was like the thing that they said. Because then you remember Deontay Mullins didn't play his senior year. Then he went into the All-American game, made that one-handed touchdown from Jack Allison at quarterback, and from Palmetto, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be it." And it didn't work out for those guys, but I'm still rooting for them in any shape, way, or form.
That was the Shaq Quarterman, Zach McLeod, Joe Jackson class. Travis Homer was in there.
Yeah,
Malik Young.
Yeah. Oh man,
that was a good class.
And the playmaker's son, too, is in that class.
Yep.
And Jeff James. Oh, thank goodness. But they could recruit. It's just made some bad decisions in other spots. That's their issue. But, yeah, so, I mean, obviously you get Calvin Russell. That'd be as much of a game changer in the conversation as possible. It would be this, I mean, we're all kind of prepping for the same thing that we do every year with these 5-star receivers from Miami. It's like, or from Dade or Broward, where it's like, oh, this is the guy. This is the guy that it's like, maybe not. Maybe the next guy. Maybe the guy over there. But
yeah, there was a guy they were talking about. Oh yeah, Jake Wynn. Yeah, that's the one I want. I want Wonderbread Spafford. Yeah, I was waiting to get to that one. Yeah, there's a lot of options at receiver. A lot of options. CJ.
What do you like about Spafford?
Yo, all white team. He's going to be reinforcements. Him and Ladd going crazy. But not very smooth, bro. Super smooth, super explosive. Has top tier quickness. Has top tier long speed. Top tier tempo to his routes. We played against him every single time. We knew what he was gonna do, and we couldn't stop him. Mostly, they can orchestrate free releases. He's so quick, man. In and out of his breaks, he has exceptional over the top ability, bro. It's just you really just it's coming. It comes very, very, very explosive. Yeah, Wonderbread. I like him since the first time I seen him. Yo, put the hairband in and he going crazy. Like
Steve, I got a very important football question. Him lined up against Isaiah Dunson, who wins that one-on-one match.
Yo, that's crazy. I'm taking Vance.
I knew where that was going as soon as Bill started to talk. I just couldn't remember the dude's name.
It took me like 30 seconds to get it.
Yo, Canes fans, like legit 4.3 speed. Seen him live multiple times. Obviously versus Raw, and I've seen him live in pads. He followed me on Twitter. I looked in his film. I was like, oh my God, who is this? And I was like, oh, that's the Cali Power Jet, Wonderbread. Yo, yeah, nah, he's good. He's good. I give flowers when they're needed, and I would love for him to be a Miami Hurricane. I could not tell you what's the latest with that. To be real with you, I think there's mutual interest. I don't know who leads, who does this, who does that, but I know there's mutual interest at least, and we'll see how that goes. But yo, that he is smoking you and all your homeboys. It is crazy. Like he got track speed. Like, yeah. B Junior, he OG. You know
the deal. You know it. Not the first guy, that second one that comes in.
Yeah.
Like number 26 or whatever he is. Oh, man.
Yeah, no, he was 86. Oh, man. I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget that day.
Man, 2. Could get 2. What a crazy receiver group that would be. What if it's Lopez, Spafford, and Calvin Russell? Is that the greatest receiving
Lopez
class?
more like a Splendor, you feel me? He a Chico. Like, he a Malta. Like, he a Chico. So, I mean, I guess we can call it like that because we counted Barrios and X, and they're Spanish. They're not white. So, I guess, yeah, we can go.
So, what if that's your trio of receivers? That's your 3, Steve. How you feeling?
Who's what? CJ, Vance, and Lopez?
Yep.
Feeling good. I know there will be disappointment. That means you missed out on Keys and and others, but I feel like if you locked in Calvin and you got those 2, I think you're setting yourself up well. I would be very pleased with it. I think I would be remiss if I didn't want to have a 4th receiver to that class, one of very high caliber. But I would not be mad. There's going to be somebody mad. Even like the most irrational Canes fans are going to be like, well, we signed a 5-star from South Florida. Okay. Like, because no matter what you can say, hey, we missed this guy from Mississippi. We missed this guy, but at least our guy didn't leave. Yeah. So, I mean, like, you got the hateness of haters right now typing like, all we did was get the 5-star that I've been complaining about for 25 years that we didn't get. Like, they're gonna look stupid. So, I mean, I really couldn't complain, man. But I would be remiss if I didn't say I wouldn't want 4th receivers in this class. I think
you sign up for that class all day, every day.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, me Junior, I can't put your comment up on the thing, but it's funny. That is funny. Oh man, but anyway. But hey, let's see what happens. Like that's get an opportunity. You find some dudes that can play. The fact that Steve-O, like Reggie pointed out, like there's a lot of receivers out there. You get your big time guy. You get your 5-star South Florida wide receiver. A lot of stuff can be forgiven about the recruiting at the position, but we'll see. Steve-O, if you had to put a percentage on it right now, just for fun, Steve-O, how we feel, or even just like give me one of these. Give one of them.
CJ.
Yeah, for CJ. Ooh.
Not even any inside information, just personal gut feeling. Definitely worried about LSU because if he would have commit tomorrow, probably that would be way you go. But we'll see it. Not everybody get a chance to be a hometown hero. I think that might be something that appeals to him. Does it appeal enough to him to be LSU? We'll see. But I like our chances with the long game. And if we don't get him, then I'll be online saying we haven't got him in 25 years. Just like probably a DM, though. I ain't going to tweet it out.
Okay. It's kind of similar to the DJ Picket recruitment last year, too, where it's kind of a little bit, all over the place. Very similar players, too. Tall, skinny, lanky. Not to bring up, negative stuff, but I could see it kind of trending that way. My thumb was at like a 25%, so I was on the boat with Winston Stone with that.
Or were you, Bill?
Yeah, there. Just like not all the way down, but like quarter.
Which for you is kind of positive. So I think we'll take that as a win for everybody.
Yeah, I think you just have forget the local ties, the family ties, and there's a lot of other things that connect CJ to Miami. I just think there's just no way. If I know we there was no stone left on. There's going to be no stone left unturned on his recruitment, and I'm just betting on Miami to get it done.
I like it. I'll take the positivity. With that one. But speaking of recruitment, one thing we want to touch on before we get out of here, you guys, last week we did get 2 commits, one on the defensive line, another on the offensive line, which really, like, looking at this class for Miami, like, we are stacking the deck when it comes to the trenches. Obviously, you expect that with the coaches that we have, but on the offensive side, we got Canon, Picket. Though you just mentioned DJ Picket, but Canon, Picket on the offensive side, and then Tyson Bacon, aka the Baconator, on the defensive side of the ball. Which, if it wasn't the first thing you thought of when we signed a guy named Tyson Bacon, his nickname is Bacon, and obviously you haven't been watching this show for very long, but yeah, we'll hit on those, like, thoughts on those 2 guys real quick. Here, Steve, I'll go to you first. I comment on either guy, then I'll go to Bill on it.
Well, I think everybody. We were just talking about DJ, so I guess I'll take Canon. This is obviously a recruitment that's been going on for a while. Everybody that followed DJ Pickett's recruitment, hey, if you're in this chat or you're watching it later, you did. Everybody knows that we were after Canon Pickett, the little cousin, and I believe brother of Booker Pickett, or cousin. Yep. So the younger brother of Booker Pickett, who is a DN who's looking to crack the rotation this year. And it's just been trending that way. Obviously, the Florida video on the sideline, come to Miami. He had plenty of airtime in that video. This is a recruitment that a lot of resources have went into. Obviously, all the family things that people were saying about, how this DJ's family and Booker, and then they love Miami and they love Miami. Well, guess what? They love Miami still because they sent another one. So I think this is just a nice little close for some Central Florida linemen that we've been pulling out, years that just sneak their way into the SEC at Florida or go a little bit more north to the Carolinas. And you're just wondering where those guys were at when you were looking at your board. So it's nice to see.
Bill, thoughts on Canon?
Yeah, I mean, just building out this offensive line class. I think he was the 6th already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5, 6. So, and maybe even a 7th coming soon too. With Brett Colleget. We're battling Georgia for that one, but Canon Pickett. I think we're battling Clemson for him. I believe he went to like their mega official visit weekend, the first one, and that's like where they get all their commits. But we survived that. I wanted to stay home, so it's great. And then Tyson Bacon with the elite name.
Great name.
But pulling a 4-star defensive lineman from SEC country. We were just talking about how hard it is to pull a 5-star wide receiver from Mississippi, but to go to Hoover, Alabama, and pull he's a top 325 player. 24/7 has him a little lower than everyone else. It's kind of skewing it, but good start to the defensive line class. We're talking about James Johnson too, but a little bit maybe in between right now, but definitely projects as a D tackle. He saw his senior year plus probably redshirt year too, so plenty of time to get up to that probably 290-ish range. But good start to the D line class.
He looks like a little bit of like another inside-outside potential guy on that D line too. So we've taken a liking to that over the past couple of years. All right, Steve-O, thoughts on the Baconator?
One, love the name. Funny, marketable, great. As fans, we're so involved in the pancake honcho thing. I can't wait to see how they do it with the bacon. And just ready to see all the creativity. Player-wise, I do think he's more that 3-tech who could pass rush from the inside. He's going to definitely get some strength on. Can he play that 5, strong edge? Yeah, for sure. So that tweener ability is there. But good start. I think this is the type of guy you get to commit early because he's going to be – it's probably a high probability that he's going to be a serviceable player at the least. I think he fits exactly what Coach Mario wants. You want to get this offense – like we're not just recruiting – we're not recruiting for the ACC. We're recruiting for the playoffs, bro. You want to play in the playoffs, you got to have elite offensive line and defensive line play. Nothing else matters once you get into the top 12. Like quarterback play, is big, But in college football, it's not as big as your offensive line and defensive line. NFL quarterbacks, Joe Burrow has made it a terrible offensive line, work. Sorry, but college quarterbacks can't do that. Like most, if not all, can't do that. So the trenches are in a good step. So I think he's the type of guy who could hold up on that interior, or versus these type of teams, the Penn States, the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Clemsons that recruit that same way. This is exactly what the type of recruits you want. And then you get him in early because he has probably a low bust rate, to be honest with you. Based on his skill set, I think at the very least, like, he's going to be serviceable, if not tap into that more potential that he has. And then you start getting the big lure chips. Even though he's a 4-star, bro, he's only 247, has him really low. He's a 4-star on all other sites. You start getting those big blue chippers, the James Johnsons, the this, the that, the that, and then next thing you know, when you're looking at the defensive line class, you're like, yeah, there's about 5, 6, 7 dudes on here.
Real quick, two questions now that we hit on those players before we get out of here. First, related to Tyson bacon, what is your favorite thing to have for breakfast? If you could just say, like, you wake up, bang, this is the breakfast you're going to eat. Steve, I'll go to you first on this one because I've seen some of the decisions Bill makes with his breakfasts. I'm not sure I'm going to like it. But Steve, you can make any bang. This is on the table when you walk downstairs. What would be your pick for breakfast?
Scrambled eggs with cheese, some bacon, crispy, and then I just put it on some white bread and make a little sandwich.
Very nice. Would you eat the bacon if it's like a little like soggier?
I don't like the light bacon. I mean, I'll do it, but I ain't gonna make it into a sandwich. I feel like that. Yeah, like nah, like yeah. If I was gonna make it or wake up, because I have then you got like the Waffle House order, which is for sure like a thing. But other than that, yeah, that's probably how I'd get, like a little bacon, egg, and cheese. Scrambled eggs though, I don't like other eggs. Scrambled eggs with cheese, and we get in there.
When you come up to New York City, did you get any breakfast sandwiches? Little bacon, egg, and cheese at the bodega?
Yeah, not at the bodega. My girl made me some.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, what we got?
This is a true New Jersey staple. So it's a pork roll and cheese on an egg bagel. I don't even know if Steven, do you know what pork roll is? Taylor ham?
Nope.
It's like
you can't get it outside of New Jersey.
Yeah, it's like kind of like thick bologna-ish. Kind of like thick bologna.
It's like a mix of like Canadian bacon and regular bacon, kind of.
So you need a pig from Canada and a pig from here. That's how we talk about. Because I'm like, Canada bacon. That sounds crazy. Never heard.
Either way, that on an egg bagel from Paris Bagels in Freehold, New Jersey. That's my choice.
It's hard to describe pork roll. It's just like a meat. It's like a pig based meat. I don't know. It's not ham. It's more like maybe like a crossbreed of bologna and like a sausage, maybe.
Yeah, meaning you don't know what's in it.
Nah, it's just a bunch of stuff. Bologna is like the meat where they just grind all that random stuff up and just turn it into like a pinkish meat.
Yeah, I know. I eat bologna, so I don't mind it.
All right. Well, like if you fry bologna and put it on a sandwich, that's the closest you're gonna get to pork roll without actually buying pork roll. So you fry the bologna up in the pan, put it on a sandwich. It's kind of like pork roll.
I mean, someone in the chats had to have been up in Jersey and had it at some point.
What you know about Lester Zay? Yeah, I mean, he got non-phone and I'm knowing, but yeah, right over there by Sorry, they got nice chicken waffles over there. But Waffle House for sure, number one. But Lester's not put y'all on. Me and Joe Williams, y'all know Joe, but man, we go to a spot, Christoph's. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. Y'all ever in coming in for a game? If y'all out of town or y'all here, that's where it's at, baby.
There you go. Is it Christoph's? You said?
Yeah.
That.
Who knows?
Get that sponsorship. Had it in Philly and in Jersey. Yeah, if you come up here, that's when you have to try the pork roll. I prefer sausage, egg, and cheese personally, but
sausage.
Can't say it. I was just saying Philly, like I think in South Jersey they call it more Taylor ham, and
that's Taylor ham down there. And like way north, up in the mountains, they call it Taylor ham too, but it's really pork roll.
Best breakfast sandwich you can get.
There we go. Also, bagel cream cheese. Come on, one. Do you have a little? What kind of bagel? A little everything bagel. A little life to it. What we got? No way. Bacon, egg, and cheese in Philly is king. I mean, well, that's because they don't have pork roll down there. If you're in Philadelphia, they won't make pork roll because it's a Jersey thing. They'll be offended. What's the cheesesteak place in Philly? There's a million of them, but there's one.
Jim's.
No.
Jim's? John's?
No, there's one cheesesteak place that is the best of all cheesesteak places.
I don't really care. Most cheese, I eat my cheesesteaks plain. I don't like onions, so I can get a cheesesteak somewhere.
It's different. Angelo's, yeah. Angelo's is the one.
I know Angelo. He never made good cheesesteaks.
Did you ask him if he's related to the other Angelo?
No, I mean, yeah, it wasn't Philly. He was a dorm mate from the team. But yeah, we didn't have a kitchen in there, so I don't know. All
right, SP1, he clarified. He clarified everything big. Okay, we're on board. Those Long Islanders. Yeah. Angelo's is the place. If you ever in Philly, go to Angelo's.
Everything bagel. Bagel, you get that plain bagel with that butter. Now you talking. With that butter. All right, now you talking. Now you talking.
Anyway, that was question one. Question two. This popped up. We were talking about the trenches before. Steve-O, you said in the NFL, a quarterback can make everything work, even if the offensive line isn't great. But in college, you need a great offensive line. Yet again, I saw the question pop up on social media. If you could add one former Cane to this roster coming up, what former Cane would you add? And again, I said to myself, like,
it's the same thing.
It's the same answer every time.
Every time. I mean, like, it's always Bryant McKinney.
Always.
It doesn't matter. And I get it. You were never wrong for adding a Sean Taylor. You're never wrong for adding a Ed Reed or a Ray Lewis or a Beeson or anybody, even your favorites, a McCarthy, like anybody. You're not wrong if you say, hey, man, we need a Stacy Coley or an Amon or Andre. We get it. Like, you're not wrong, but technically you're wrong, fam.
No,
like
for this team,
on any team.
This team this year, the answer is Jerome Brown.
Answer's what?
So?
Jerome Brown.
No.
It's Brian.
No, Bill, you're wrong, Bill.
It absolutely is.
It's
not even a debate.
It's Brian McKinney at left tackle. You got Markel Bell and Matthew McCoy at left guard. Then you got man. This is
always Brian McKinney.
The answer is always Brian McKinney. I'm sorry. He's the most dominant player in UM history. One-on-one, that I just don't think you could argue it. Bill, I mean, I get it. Jerome Brown, yeah, it's our defensive tackle play looking like we could use an All-American, otherworldly talent. Yeah.
You put Jerome Brown next to Ruben Bain. We go undefeated.
No, I wouldn't. I would put Brian McKinney on the offensive line and dominate.
I'm telling Justin Scott, you making a lot most likely. We need Jerome Brown out of you, boy.
Yeah, you better turn this around.
Yeah, I'm putting on Jerome Brown tape and telling him what he need to do.
Make him go against McKinney in practice and be like, you got to be better than that dude if you want to be. But yeah, no, it's McKinney. No, answer is McKinney. Every day, all day.
Yeah, no, it gotta be Brian McKinney. I'm sorry, but we could run to the left 30 times a game with Mark Fletcher and McKinney just killing people. Like I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Carson Beck would imagine that offensive line. I didn't even get to the right side where Inez and Francis are at.
Yeah.
No, bro. We running that ball. Jordan Lyle for 1,000 yards. Mark Fletcher for 1,000 yards. Carson Beck off play action for 2,500. That's not even just straight pass plays. That's just 2,500 off play action. It's nah.
Now let's pretend we can't pick, because I knew what Steve-O was gonna say. Bill is just dumb, but let's pretend that we can't pick Brian. No, you call him dumb, Steve-O. Look at his face. His goofy beard.
If I didn't go O-line, I would have went D-line too. I wouldn't have got any corner or safety or receiver anyway. I would have picked.
Look at that.
I would have picked the D line. I would have picked a different D lineman from Jerome Brown. That's because my recency biasness. But
It looks like his hair is not even connected to his beard. Look at his facial hair. Look at it's like got a Fu Manchu going, and it's like just barely connected on the bottom there.
I did shave today, so
You shaved just part of your beard? Whatever.
It's a little lighter than normal. I was actually thinking about taking it off, but maybe next week. We'll see.
Solo on Steve-O for a second too. Why not? All right, so Steve-O, if you couldn't go Brian McKinney, who would you go with? Eddie Johnson. That's a pretty funny one. I like that.
yeah. All right. I'm not gonna go obviously McKinney, and I'm not gonna go Jerome Brown. So I won't even go offensive line or defensive line, which would normally be where I pick. If you could pick any generational player, you better pick a trenches player in today's college football. But just for the sake of conversation, I'll pick somebody who's not a skilled player. And that person would be I really like our defensive backs on transfers, but we could always obviously get a superstar over one of them. But you know what? F it. I'm gonna take Njoku. I'd probably take Njoku.
Njoku?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'd probably take Njoku. Have him with Lofton, our receiver core. No matter what they do, it doesn't matter. We're good. But if our receiver core is lit, then it's even crazier. I'll never forget that West Virginia play where he dragged bro for like 7 yards, 8, 9 yards, bro. And I was just like, yeah, nah, I'm sorry. I hate that he's a Brown, but even he produces on the Browns. That's how you know he got to come back.
He is quarterback proof on the Browns, which is hard.
Yeah.
All right.
That's probably who I'd pick. I'd go because I'm obviously gonna be recency biased in this, but yeah, there's no way that Carson Beck wouldn't love to have David Njoku to throw the football to, bro. And that would probably take the most pressure off everybody else because even CJ Daniels would be looked at as in, second, you come second to defense's coverage scheme, so he might see, better matchups as that.
If I had to go not McKinney, I would also probably go just D-tackle, and in which case it's the Jerome Brown, Tez, Russell Maryland, Sapp conversation, and like any of those four, whatever. But if I went away from trenches, like there's the voice in the back of my head just saying, just pick Sean. Pick Sean. Can't go wrong picking Sean. Can't go wrong picking Sean. Everyone would love that. Sean, Andre, Morgan, Dan Morgan would be my trio.
Yeah, you can't cop out on a trio. I had to say David Njoku. I could have easily I could have said a trio and put David Njoku.
Okay. I would go with I'll go with Sean. Screw him. Sean Taylor. Screw him. In this game, I'd have him playing wherever he decides he wants to play.
Imagine how much interceptions he'll have when they're throwing the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy.
See, I would have went with Ed over Sean, but my thought is if I didn't go trenches, I would go Andre, knowing how Carson Beck plays. You put Dre out there.
You put a sticky note said Andre no matter what. I get that.
I mean, he was throwing the ball up to that bum the Jets drafted, like desperate heaves up to him. Maybe this guy will remember he has hands. So like imagine if it's Andre Johnson in that position instead.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to add Andre, there's a conversation or two to be had if you would want to give him more of a slot weapon or just a true outside guy. But yeah, I mean, you can never argue Andre unless you're talking Roscoe.
Of course. That'd be the only conversation. Get Roscoe, true slot. Better, obviously, Steve-O, you said that before you said Santana because we long have understood your position there. Actually,
But
there are guys. Look, there are guys right
learned
there.
from last
5
year,
picks.
you have to have a great defense to win in the big games.
Steve-O's pick is
Man,
over
we
there.
learned from last year. We win when we score. We win when we score. Nothing. Everybody talks about the defense in the Syracuse game. We was up 21-0. If we kept scoring, we would have won. So, yeah.
Fair point. But all right, that'll do it for us, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to the show. I told Bill it's probably a quick one. Nothing even happened this week, and as it goes, it's never really a thing. But before we get out of here, final thoughts for the people, Bill.
One, we're about to enter the commitment season, right? That first week of July, we got another show or two, but we are only 10 shows away from the all-important season prediction show.
Woo! Right around the corner.
10 shows, Steve-O. 10 more shows.
Yeah,
Get your
right
15-0 predictions ready.
I'm ready, and I got some sauce to tell y'all for this 15-0.
I got some 8-4 sauce for you too. No, I'm just kidding.
Ain't no way.
I don't know if you are kidding. I don't know if you are. All right, Steve-O, final thoughts of the people.
Hey man, enjoy it. We're getting blue chip guys. It's June. It's about to be July, which is a historic month for Mario Cristobal and recruiting. So let's see how July happens. I think there's going to be some smoke out there at several different positions. I think we put ourselves in position for a couple high school guys, 1 or 2 names I've just heard recently. So the board's ever expanding. We're getting national guys. We're getting local guys. I think you're going to see a nice, probably over the next couple of days. I always say this, and then, I'll be like, when I see an article drop, but I think there's going to be some traction with some national guys that might get reported on within the next, whenever they get to it. But doing well, guys. See you guys next Wednesday, and it's good to be a Canes fan, especially when it's coming up to July.
Yep. Like Bill said, getting right into the heart of old commitment season, which is when everyone really gets excited and things start to really get to the high note as you get there. Johnny Lagoon with a great joke for Bill on the way out, based upon his beard, which obviously I appreciate and cherish those kinds of moments. But thank you guys for tuning into the show. We appreciate you all, as always, for jumping in the chat, being so involved. We always love to see that. We'll be here the rest of the way through the season. Obviously, weeks in and out, that we'll be in and out. But you can always rely on us to make this thing work. And we get to that prediction show, see if we can't make Bill a little bit more positive. Got 10 weeks to convince him. So for Bill and Steve-O, I'm Chris. I'll see you guys again next time right here on 3 Live Canes. Everybody have a good week.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. He's a stud, that Brown, number 98. Urban's got it. Urban spree. Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big games.